Your child will not have the capability of practicing gratitude until they're around 25, maybe even 26 or 27. That is good news. Even if your teenager is not practicing gratitude, you have time. It's a marathon. If you're an adult and you want to practice gratitude, you still have time. You're listening to the Bear in Mind podcast, episode 141.
A podcast that breaks it down so you can break the cycle for good. Now, your host, Tara Rama, but you can call her T.
Gratitude falls into a category that I call complex emotions. And I've talked about the category of fast emotions or our survival emotions. In episode 122, it's called Fast Emotions. And we want a lot of these complex emotions. We want it for our children. We want it for ourselves. We hope that the other adults that we interact with in our life, our partner, we hope that they also have these complex emotions. And I'm going to talk more about gratitude, empathy, and motivation. I think those are really the big three. I would also include in the top is also self-confidence, although self-confidence is also built through getting to know your body. However, establishing self-confidence does happen at full establishment of self-confidence happens at 25. And the reason why, and 25 is plus or minus different years. It can be 24, it can be 26, 27, depending on the person. And that is the age, according to Daniel Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence, where he talks about we reach full emotional maturity. We can fully regulate our emotions. We can fully manifest our emotions at this point. So we have control, full control of our emotions. So when I started to understand this concept of emotional maturity happening, it kind of was this big relief. Because if you are raising a young person, a little one, it is a marathon to get to 25 years. Not all of these complex emotions need to be developed by the time they're 5, need to be developed by the time they're 10, or by the time they're a teenager. They are continuously in development. So even if you have, quote unquote, if you think you have made some mistakes along the way, big mistakes, and now you're trying to change course and parent differently, be a different partner, then it's still okay. Because as we know, the brain is flexible, and around emotions, you can start to change how you experience emotions in your life. So children are born with survival emotions. We're talking about fear, anger, sadness, joy, basically sad, mad, glad, bad, although it doesn't include fear, but fear's in there. They're born with it, and that's for their survival. And those are those emotions that come out. Those are the emotions that come out in toddlerhood. And then along the way, they begin to learn how to manage it as their brain develops. They learn how to slowly, very slowly, start to control it. And we want them to we understand maybe a little bit of this concept now that mental health is more highlighted in the mass media. We want our children to have this. And the thing is, they're not going to have it. They're not going to be grateful. They may be able to say thank you. You might be able to tell them to say thank you. That is social decorum. That isn't the true practice of gratitude. Gratitude, although there's a subset of being able to say thank you to somebody else, it is a very small subset of that. And when it comes to adults, that it seems like they're not practicing gratitude, or even within yourself, it doesn't mean that you are not emotionally mature. It just means that the practice needs to be developed. You are able to, you have that capability now that your brain is fully developed, if you're older than 25, to be able to begin that practice. And we're not taught this. So it's no wonder that we're like, well, I want to practice gratitude, but I don't know what to do. So I'm going to break it down. So when it comes to children, their brains are developing, and kind of the first thing, and now this is a very simple framework, but I like thinking about it like this way because it can get kind of, I think, too complex when it comes to thinking about child psychology and child development, is that kind of the big thing that children probably benefit from in the early years is just getting aware of those survival emotions, feeling them. And then as their brain develops, so there is some control that happens between the age of 5 to 7. That is usually the age that is compulsory in most countries to go to school around 6, because they have some of that kind of control. They can start to maybe not think about not hitting their sibling or something like that, even though it might not happen. They have a little bit of that kind of awareness to be like, okay, I am angry, and maybe I don't hit my brother. So when it comes to their emotions in the early stages, it is really about just feeling it and letting them feel it, letting them process it, and giving them space to it, give them a safe place to process that. And then also demonstrating the skills of how to change a course of action when you do feel angry. And this is as they, a little bit by a little bit. It doesn't happen overnight. And that is why when we talk about guiding somebody, helping somebody, it is really about demonstrating that in yourself rather than telling them what to do. Because emotions are a human experience. So your kid already is understanding anger. They may not verbally be able to tell you that, but they can feel it in their bodies. They can maybe, depending on where they're at in their language, they can maybe even describe it, what's happening in their body. And so that is where you allow gratitude to be slowly kind of the seed to build it up so that they're able to then take it on past 25 years, is to actually understand their fast emotions, to understand those survival emotions, and then learn to regulate them. And regulation, all it means is you feel it, you don't avoid it, you don't redirect them, you let them feel it, and you let them feel it so it passes out of their body. And then from there, make the decision of what action they want to take. So you can feel angry, be angry, and then let it pass, and then decide, okay, I know why I'm angry, and I want to address it, or I don't want to address it, or I want to do something else. And then using, as their rational brain starts to kick in, which also takes a lot of time, is to be able to see their options on the choices that are available to them. So this allows us, even for adults, if emotional regulation is something that you're struggling with. I have struggled with this. I, in fact, was not able to really manage those survival emotions into my 30s. So it's not to say that you can't do it. You can very much, 100%, you have the capability of doing that. So that is actually where you start when you want to generate all of those emotions that sound lovely, like empathy, gratitude, motivation, determination, self-confidence. That is where the basis starts to get to complex emotions. So when you're pretty consistent at understanding those survival emotions and moving through them and passing them and understanding why you're feeling them, then you can start to then create, manifest complex emotions. And when you want to do this in yourself, you will automatically teach, guide, your partner, your children into doing this. So if you want to practice gratitude in your life, it is not something that we're born with. So we need to practice it, like the piano or any skill you want to develop. Empathy is an ability. If you look up the definition of empathy, it is an ability. We are born with the software to feel it, and then we need to use it. We need to update it and practice that emotion. So here's how you begin to practice gratitude that when you do this consistently, you will teach your child, no matter what age, if they're at home with you, you will teach them also this skill. It is not necessary to go and point out and say, hey, you need to be grateful for all the stuff you have. That is not actually teaching them, pointing out what they should be feeling. Instead, practicing that within yourself is going to help them automatically be grateful for the things that they have. So to get started as an adult, pick one area where you want to practice gratitude. And I really mean be very specific. So pick your partner, your job, a kid, where you want to practice gratitude. So let's say it's with your partner. Every day, find one amazing thing about your partner, one amazing thing you're grateful for, something that they have given you on that day. And some days are going to be harder. And this is common practice. So if you do go on the internet and you look, this is practice. It's really the common practice is to search for something every day. And I'm saying to get really specific about one person because then you can apply it in other areas. Write down what you're grateful that your partner did. They unloaded the dishwasher. They finished the laundry. If you're really searching for something, you didn't have an argument today. Do that. Now, the reason why this does not get done a lot of times because we find ourselves stuck in those survival emotions. So that is why when I say when you want to practice those complex emotions like gratitude and empathy and motivation, is we're so busy cycling with our survival emotions, so busy cycling with anger or shame or something, even though shame is not a survival emotion, cycling in some of these emotions that don't have purpose. And we spend a lot of time there so that we don't make space to do this practice, to develop those complex emotions. So if we're so busy with these fast emotions, we're so busy being exhausted and tired and angry and anxious and frustrated, we will not make room for that. So that is why when the practice sounds good, go write down one thing and focus on your partner or your job. That is what blocks us from doing that every day because we're cycling and then we don't make space for that. If you're wanting to guide someone in motivation, go back to the previous episode on 3 ways to stay motivated. Practice that. Pick one and then you'll be able to apply it to other complex emotions. And that change will, it will impact the people around you. In your immediate circle, it will impact people. So 25 years, it's a marathon. If you're over 25, you can still do it. You have the capability to do it. That's all I have for you this week. I'll check back with you next.
Thanks for listening. Listen for a new episode next Tuesday by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Bye for now.